All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the I Didn't Know ClearPoint Could Do That webinar series. Today, we're diving into some super cool ways to optimize ClearPoint for your organization, including walking through some of our new charting features. But before we get started, here are your smiling hosts. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Trisha. And if you couldn't tell, we were really excited about the U.S. women's soccer team winning gold over the weekend.
As a few housekeeping announcements, we'll be recording this session and we'll make it available within a week. The webinar will last about 25 minutes with time for questions at the end, so you can submit your questions to support@clearpointstrategy.com. Any that we don't get to, we'll follow up with over email. Now, on our last installment, we walked through the new features of ClearPoint 12.5. So if you've been curious about all those new capabilities, including peer-to-peer sharing in the measure library and template scripting, now is a great time to check out that recording and transcript on our website or Vimeo channel. Just search webinar. So today, we'll be focusing on optimizing ClearPoint specifically for your organization. We'll walk through customizing terminology in ClearPoint to meet your preferences, create filtered summary reports with table styles that match your organization's branding, dive into our awesome new charting features, and set up custom status indicators for your strategic elements. So again, if you have any questions, please reach out to the address on the screen, support@clearpointstrategy.com. So today, we'll be flying the friendly skies at Upward Air. All right, and we'll start with taking a look at the default language in our account. So we all know that the traditional balanced scorecard is made up of objectives, measures, and initiatives. And you can see that each has a drop-down in the top menu. But that's not really how we refer to our strategic elements at Upward Air.
Yeah, I was wondering, where do our projects fit into ClearPoint and KPIs?
Good question, Trisha. The great thing about ClearPoint is that we can actually customize all of the terminology in our account to fit with that of our organization. So to do so, I'll click into the System Settings, Admin Options, and Menu and Element Names. This is where I can customize any of the strategic elements that appear in the top menu. So initiatives are time-bound elements with clear start and end dates, key milestones to be completed, and usually a budget as well. That sounds a lot like what we refer to as projects. So I'm going to go to Edit Initiatives, and I'll change this to projects instead.
So this will update the initiative naming everywhere in our account?
That's right.
Perfect. Wait, another question. The Western Division refers to measures as key performance indicators, or KPIs. Is there a way to customize the naming by scorecard instead of across the whole account?
I'm so glad you asked. Yes, you can customize naming by scorecard. So for measures, I know that the Western Division refers to them as KPIs. So let's set up that customization. So I'll click the Edit pencil again, this time for measures, but instead of changing the naming here, I'll click on this Add Customization button, and then for the type here, I'll select Scorecard. For the scorecard, I'll select the Western Division, and then for the naming, I can set that up here. So we'll do KPIs.
Perfect. That makes things a lot more clear now that ClearPoint is speaking our language. But what about all the other default fields and terminology in ClearPoint? Can that be customized too?
Of course. If I click into Default Fields, I can change the name of, you guessed it, the default fields for each element type. I know that for measures, we actually refer to owners as data leads. So if I click on the Measures left tab here, and then click on the drop-down arrow next to owner, I can change this to data leads.
Additionally, if you want to rename any of the other terms in ClearPoint, you can do so from the Field Labels menu. This includes renaming things like categories, briefing books, and milestones, among others. So here at Upward Air, we refer to our briefing books as performance reports. So I can go ahead and rename that here.
All right. So now that we have our terminology all squared away, let's move on to something a little more fun, like creating custom summary reports. So to add a new measure summary report, I'll click on the Measures top menu dropdown and then click into Manage Measure Reports. Then to add a new one, I'll click on the plus icon here. And I'm going to go ahead and name this report My Measures, since I'm going to include all the measures that I'm responsible for updating. Then in the Columns tab, I'll go ahead and I'll select Measures. I'll select that new data lead field, since I'm going to be looking at all the measures I'm in charge of. We'll add the analysis field as well, so I can make some updates, and series status too. Then in the Measures tab, this is where I can select all the measures I'd like to include in my report. However, for this report, we'll actually click into the Filter tab here, and we'll click to add a filter where the data lead is equal to current user. So this not only shows measures that I'm responsible for, but it also, depending on who logs in, they can view this same report, and it will also show the ones that they're responsible for as well.
Exactly, that filter is so cool. So since I can see all the measures I'm responsible for, I think this would be a great report for me to favorite. So I can favorite this report by clicking on the star icon in the top right corner. And then I can click into My Favorites from the left panel menu, and I'll see that the summary report is now listed among my favorites here. And I can easily click into the My Measures report directly from this My Favorites page. Another helpful page to point out for some quick navigation is the My Scorecard page. If I click into the person icon here in the top right corner, I'm able to see all the objectives, measures, and projects that I'm the owner of. From this page, I can make easy updates across elements by simply clicking on the edit icon. Here I could update the analysis and recommendation of the elements that I'm the owner of. Switching back to the My Favorites page, I can also make that My Measures report that we just worked on creating my home page by simply clicking on the home icon next to My Measures. What that means is next time when I log into ClearPoint, I'll be taken directly to this My Measures report, so I don't have to worry about any extra navigation, and I can make all of my updates quickly and efficiently. This can be a huge time saver since I no longer have to go into each individual measure detail page, and instead I can click and update my analysis and data directly from my home page.
Totally. And optimizing ClearPoint isn't just about terminology and updating information either. You can also customize the look of your account as well. You can see that currently the table is just a generic black for this summary report, but I think it'd look really great to have this match Upward Airs branding instead. So if we go back into Admin Options, and this time we click into Custom Styles, I'll go ahead and navigate to the Table Styles tab. And this is where you can customize the grid style table for summary reports. You'll notice that there's also a tab for pod styles above it, which can be created in the same way as table styles. For today, though, we'll focus on table styles. Personally, I think it's easiest to duplicate an existing style and then adjust the hex codes and other parts of the CSS from there. However, we do have a Support Center article to help you navigate using CSS if you'd like to start from scratch. And our support team is always happy to assist. So if I duplicate this dark table style here, I'll start by giving it its own name here. We'll call it Upward Air Table. Then in the table style field, I'm going to increase the border by 3 just to make that a little bit thicker. And then for the color, rather than having this black here, we'll actually change this to be Upward Air's custom orange color. So I'll just grab that hex code here from my notepad and insert it into the table style. Then in the header style, we'll do the same thing. So this background color, we'll instead make this our custom Upward Air blue. And then the font family, the font weight, and the color, as well as the font size, all look pretty good from that dark table. So we can go ahead and leave that here. And then you'll notice that this cell style field is actually left blank. And what we can do here is we can customize the content inside of our summary report. So if you'd like to increase the font size of your summary report, or maybe the font style or color or something like that, it can all be done from this cell style field here. So then we'll click Save, and we'll notice that our new table style has now been added to the list. I'll click Save one more time. And then since Tricia made that summary report for My Measures, our homepage, I can just click on the Home button here. That'll take me right to it. And then to implement our new table style, I'll click on the Edit pencil, go to the Advanced Options tab, and then on the Table Styles field here, I'll select from the drop-down our Upward Air table. Once I click Save, you'll see that our awesome new style that matches Upward Air branding has taken hold.
Wow, that really looks great. So another really cool way we can optimize ClearPoint for our organization is to take advantage of the charting functions that are available. So if I just click into the total amount of time at gate from the summary report, I can see here on the right-hand side I have my chart. I can double-click here to make any changes.
Whoa, that looks a little different than what I remember with charting.
You're right. We actually recently introduced a lot of cool new charting features. So there are a lot of things that you can do now, but things do look a little bit different when editing a chart. One thing you might notice here, you now have the ability to select the legend for the positioning of the legend in the chart. And you can simply open up this dropdown and see that there are a ton of options for where you can position your legend. So you can center it at the bottom, left, right, or even above the chart. For this example, I'm going to use the bottom center positioning, and I can refresh the preview to see my legends now appearing at the center of my chart. Additionally, I can click into the Chart Series tab here, where I can manage the series that are being displayed on the chart by simply clicking the Add or Remove icon. It is important to note that clicking the Add or Remove icon only adds or removes the series from the chart. It has no effect on the series in the data table. So if you only wanted to look at the actual series on the chart, you can easily remove target by clicking on the X icon and clicking Remove. You'll see the target is still there and can be easily added back by clicking the Add icon. You'll also notice editing a chart series looks a little different. Now you can click the Edit button for the actual series, and it will open the Edit Series window.
Wow, there's so many options for customizing your chart series here.
I know, it's really awesome. Here I could change the label of the series as well as the shape, add a data value label, and update the color. For this example, I'm going to go ahead and update the color based on our Upward Airlines branding. So I'm going to grab the blue hex code here and just paste it right into this color field. And you can see the color here on the right-hand side. So if I save and refresh my preview, I can now see that I'm just displaying my actual series with the blue Upward Air branding. Another really awesome feature that was added is being able to add trend lines to your chart. Trend lines give you the ability to see the direction data is moving in the future. For this example, I want to add a linear regression based off of my actual value to see how we are trending for the rest of our fiscal year. To do that, I can click the Add icon here. For Measure Series, I'm going to choose Actual since we want the trend line to be based off of the actual data. And then I can just go ahead and label this Linear Regression. To set up this trend line, I'll scroll to the bottom, and under Advanced Options, you'll see the Chart Series Values drop down here. If I open that up, I can see the second option is to plot trend line using a regression model. So if I click on that, I'll see a trend line drop down open up. And here you can see a wide variety of regressions that you could set up for your chart. For this example, I'm just going to grab that linear regression. So I want this to be a line on my chart, so I'm going to go ahead and set that align as the shape with no marker. And I'm going to set the color as red just so it really sticks out against my actual data. I can go ahead and save here and refresh my preview. So I can see now that I'm trending down for future periods, which is great since this measure is tracking the time of people at the gate. Once again, it is important to point out that this regression is only being added to the chart and will not be added as another series in your data table. Also, I wanted to point out, you can clearly see that the linear regression is being calculated based off of the actual series here, and that it's a trend line series by that blue tag. So another charting feature I wanted to point out is the ability to chart last year's data and compare it to the current year. So again, to do that, I'm going to click on the add icon at the top of this window. So again, I'm going to use actual as the data to calculate off of, and I'm just going to label this as previous year. I'm going to scroll down to my advanced options setting, open up this chart series values dropdown, and choose the last option, which is to plot periods before or after the reporting period. So I'm going to set this offset as -12, since we want to look at the data from 12 periods ago, since that will display the previous data from last year. To keep things consistent, I'm going to set this as a bar for the shape, and then go ahead and grab the orange hex code for our upward air branding. Then I can click Save here and refresh my preview again. So things look really awesome here. I can see my previous year has been added based off of my actual series, and that is an offset series that's been added here. But I think it would look a little bit better to have maybe the linear regression first, then previous year, and actual data following it. So I can go ahead and just update the order here by dragging and dropping the series and refreshing to see how it all looks. So I think that chart looks great, so I can go ahead and save. So you'll notice here, my chart has updated on the measure detail page. I have the linear regression displaying as well as the previous year data with the actual series. If I scroll down to the data table, I just wanted to point out we're still looking at our actual and target data. So the linear regression and the previous year that we added to the chart series has had no effect on the measured data table.
All those new charting features are super cool, but there is one you haven't shown yet that I think people will really love. So I think this new feature would work well on our number of unionized job descriptions measure. And if I double click on the chart to edit it, this time we'll go into advanced options, and you'll notice that there's a couple new options here, one of which is add plot bands. So if we click on this, we can add plot bands in order to provide a visual display of the status for our series data. For this example, let's add in bands for the red, yellow, and green statuses based on the ranges we have set for the status. So I'll click on Add Plot Bands, and we'll add red first to show on the bottom. So I can just pick the red color from my color picker. And then for the range, we'll do 0 to 50. And then we'll add one for yellow as well. Just picking that yellow from my color picker. And then that'll be 50 to 100. And then finally, we'll add that green for when our data is at or above target, and that's going to be between 100 and 150. So now, if I click to refresh the preview, you can see that those plot bands have taken hold, and it looks really cool. I can clearly see what's on target and what's not.
Wow, that is a great way to quickly see the status of each period on the chart. So while we're here looking in advanced options, there's one other thing I wanted to point out. So if we click on Enable Embed Code, you'll see an iframe appear in the field below. The iframe can be copied and easily pasted wherever you want to view the chart, like your website, an internet site, or even your Esri dashboard. So if I just click into a blog post that we have on our website here, you can see if I scroll down, we've embedded a chart from within our ClearPoint account. So you can see it's interactive just as it is in ClearPoint. You can even remove or add back the data on the chart. One thing to point out is the data on the chart is not updating live when new data is entered into ClearPoint, so you don't have to worry about data being published before it has been reviewed. Once the embed code is enabled within your chart, you can save it. And then if I click back into advanced options once it's been saved, I'll see that there's an option now to update the published data here. If I check this box and then save the chart, the chart that's being published will be updated with the new data. Another important point is that Chart Embed Codes is currently a beta feature, so you need to be opted in to use it. So if you are interested in using Chart Embed capabilities, please reach out to our support team.
ClearPoint really has taken charts to the next level. Now, to wrap up things today, I wanted to show you one last insider trick for optimizing ClearPoint for you and your organization. I'm sure everyone is familiar with the red, yellow, and green status indicators that help you track the progress of your strategic elements. But did you know that you can actually customize these too? To do so, I'll take one last trip into Admin Options, and this time we'll go to Status Indicators. And from here, I can rename the existing default indicators by clicking on the Edit button next to each. Most of our clients like using the default statuses, but often we see organizations adjusting the naming to better fit their lingo. A common example is renaming Above Target as Above Plan or On Track. I'll go ahead and rename this one On Track since that fits better with Upward Air's terminology. And then to keep things consistent with On Track, I'll go ahead and I'll rename Below Plan Off the Rails.
Oh man, sure is stressful when things go off the rails at Upward Air.
Agreed. I can also add a new custom status indicator. One that we see our clients use pretty frequently is a completed status indicator, which we've actually already created here. So if I click to edit this completed status, you can see where we gave this a custom name here, completed, and then I just checked the box next to Use Custom Status Indicator and was able to pull in a custom image that I picked from Upward Air's branding. Then I also selected the text code here to match with our custom status indicator. And then one important thing to point out is that this status is only being used for projects, milestones, and action items, since those are those time-bound elements that have completed dates and would thus need to use the status indicator. So this will not be showing up for the objectives, measures, or risks as an option for status. And with that, we now have some really cool custom charts. Our measure summary report is well branded and filtered for optimal use, and we even have custom terminology and status indicators set up. We've really accomplished a lot in the last 25 minutes. And you can learn even more about organizational branding in particular by checking out Tricia and I's training session from this year's ClearPoint Strategy and Performance Management Summit. Just go to the Support Center on our website and search branding. Now, with our remaining time today, we'd love to open up the floor for your questions. So here's one that's come in. What if I want to create a whole new field altogether rather than renaming existing fields? Is there a way that I can do that? So the answer is yes. While the default fields in ClearPoint are great starting points, there are limitless possibilities for custom fields. So in Admin Options, we can click on this Custom Fields menu, and you'll see to the left that there's a tab for each element type. So if I click into Measures, I can add a custom field that's specific for my measures. I can click the plus icon, give the field a custom name, and then you'll see we have a bunch of options for field types, including a pick list field, image field, yes, no, HTML with data, and lots of other really great options to fit exactly my needs for my custom field.
Awesome, it's great. That's so flexible for your needs. So we had another question come in. Can we still save customized charts for other users to apply to different measures so do not have to go through the process of customizing them again? So that's a great question because I know the charting has changed a little bit. It looks a little different, but you still have the capability to save custom charts to be available for other users to use. So I just double-clicked back in to edit our time at gate chart here. Under the chart type dropdown, I can open this up, scroll down to the bottom where I see custom chart JSON. If I click on this, I can easily click on the Add Custom Chart Type and then rename this to something really clear like Upward Air Branding so my users will know exactly what this chart will be used for. And once I add this and save, the next time a user was to log in, if they were to edit a chart, they can just open up the chart type, click on Upward Arrow Branding to apply that same branding that you can see on the chart here.
Awesome. And it looks like we had another one about charting come in. So if I am publishing multiple charts, is there an easy way to see and manage all of the charts being published?
That's another great question. So of course we saw when we were in the single chart that we were able to update the data to be live, but you do have also the ability from admin options to click into chart options and then embed charts. From here you can see all the charts that are being published, and you can also select all of the charts and refresh all published data at the same time. Additionally, you can see from here you can unpublish any charts that you no longer want to share.
All right, well that looks like it's all we have time for today. Thanks for taking the time to optimize ClearPoint with us. We hope you can now confidently say, I did know ClearPoint could do that. See you next time and happy reporting.